In January, I started another draft of my novel, The Fourth Wall. In this draft, I added a lot of depth to my world and its characters, filled in some gaping plot holes, and received some unexpected feedback. When I finished my draft, I still had a really basic story, a skeleton of a story. I had a bunch of scenes and events, but I didn't have the character work and the world building that you expect from a good story. Some of the changes I made were subtle, an extra bit of dialogue here, a commentary from the point of view character there. But other changes were massive, adding new interactions between characters, new locations to discover, new religions, beliefs, cults, and some crucial backstory. This part of the revision process actually came pretty easy because a lot of it had already been, stewing for a while in my head while I wrote the previous draft. It was much harder to fill those plot holes. The middle section of my manuscript had maybe 5 scenes and I needed to bridge that gap. I made a list of scenes that I knew I needed and went to work figuring out how I could fit those in. The nature of the middle also required me to take a lot of these smaller stories and weave them together, and keeping track of them and making sure I had the right pieces in the right spot was also pretty difficult. I moved scenes around a lot and even took some scenes from the middle and moved them to the end. And that made the problem even worse. I struggled a lot to make the middle work. The relief and the elation of finishing the middle can only be overshadowed by finishing the entire draft. I am so proud. This is the first time that I really feel like I have something that is good enough to be published. Now, I know I still have a lot of work to do on this manuscript, but where I'm at right now, I can tell that this is publishable. I'm really excited for this next round of revisions because with it already being the best product I ever had, I just can't imagine how much more it's going to level up with my next revision. Draft complete. I handed my manuscript over to a critique partner and waited. Read some books, harvested mandrakes, and got some feedback. My critique partner listed off 3 main problems. 1, the beginning needs to deliver a huge punch. The hook needs to be tight and it needs to be as good as I can get it. 2, the main point of view story needs a revision focusing on description. The B plot is good, but the A plot is lacking. And 3, the most important is that Andre, my main point of view character, is unlikable and not sympathetic. Fixing this could solve the other 2 problems as well, so I think it's my main problem. The feedback surprised me. I mean, I know that Andre isn't the most cuddly character, but I didn't think he was unsympathetic. I thought I did a lot of work to make the reader interested in him and sympathetic towards his cause. We talked about it for a bit and decided that the best way to get moving on fixing Andre is to study the greats. So my next steps are to study some TV shows, some movies, some books that have characters that are kind of horrible people, but somehow we still like them. As I study, I'm going to apply what I learned to the next revision of The Fourth Wall.